Hey guys, Coach here. Hey, welcome to this week's episode. Welcome to the swamp. And we are going to do part 2 today of the remainder of this drainage system. And it's just showing me where the good parts are, the bad parts, and the ugly parts. I'm so glad that you are here. We are going to rock this thing, and I'm going to show you stuff that even professionals come across that just wants to curl your hair and make you say 4-letter words. It is very, very true in this one. So if we go back to it, I will really appreciate your attention from now until the end. Let's get this thing rolling. As always, I appreciate your attention, and always to your landscape success. Okay, so after the rain, that was almost a ½ inch of rain overnight, you can see, hey, at least I've got proof of concept. Even the trenches are running out towards the main trench. But again, that trencher didn't cut a wide enough path for a 4-inch corrugated. So we had to get in with Mini Bosch again, widen this thing out, put the level in there and make sure everything was going well. And then we had to have a place to put all the tailings that we were creating. And that is going to be above the pond there. It's a little too drastic a slope for me, so we're going to use it and lessen the slope a bit. Here's the next day. After we got the 2 downspouts, now I'm on the main backyard drainage. And this one, part of it went well, and part of it really sucked. It really did. The further away from that house, the camper area, I found a lot more soil and a lot more speed at which I could get this pipe in and done. Hey, hooking up the Y here is not that exciting of stuff, but I do want to call your attention to making sure that once you get that tape on there, take your hands for a few minutes and just wrap it around that plastic and wrap it really good and get a good seal. Most of the time, your leaking is going to come from the bottom. So don't be afraid to get under there and really rub it. That just sounds so wrong. Just make sure that it seals really, really well. This is going into a wet environment and hopefully for years and years and years. So make sure that you take your time and that you get a very, very good seal on that duct tape. And select your duct tape for exterior use. Something that is really sticky, very, very adhering to other stuff like plastics, like what we're doing here. So do that, and then with the perf pipe that I'm using, I'm going with a zip tie to hold everything up. I'm not relying on duct tape to do that. I'm going to stretch that sediment sock up over after I get things taped, and then I'm going to pull that sediment sock tight again, do a couple of zip ties together, and then wrap it around that 4-inch pipe. It was actually quite a circumference to have to cover. So it's not that hard, you just have to do it. And it's one of those things, guys and gals, if you just do it once, you know it for the rest of your life. And it's not that hard. Oh, by the way, no bad comments on the custom landscaping jeans here, okay? This is stitched up out on your butt, out on your knees, your hands and knees for quite a while. And instead of throwing these away, we sacrificed ones that were really bad. We ended up putting patches on the knees, and they work out fantastic. Thank you very much, Maestro. I love you. In any case, got this thing zip tied, and we are ready to go off camera to the right, lower right. And you can see the difference between the wide part of the trench and what I'm working into now, or next. It's really super narrow. You can't get that pipe through there. My fall here, my slope, is really good. It is over a quarter bubble all the way down to this point, and it's even going to get better. But it's also going to get deeper too, because there's a hump between here and the end game of this side of the trench. And it's just rinse and repeat from this point on. It's get that stuff out of the trench, smooth out the bottom so that it's not a roller coaster. Take a level if you have it. I had a 4-foot level that I put in and made sure that I stayed at least that quarter bubble. And then I would wheelbarrow those tailings over to the other side of the house. And so it is not a 3-hour project. This took probably a total of 3 days off and on without Without rest, every day I was out there probably 4 or 5 hours. And I'm not on the clock. I'm not on someone else's clock. I'm just on my own clock. So I do what I can do and then stop. And we do emails and we do other stuff that we have to do to run this YouTube channel. But you can see here, the soil isn't that bad. There is rock involved, but it's shaly rock mixed with this clay loam. And it came out fairly easy down at this part. And I just widened that trench, as you can see, widened it from 3 inches, widened it out to like 8 inches or more. And it worked out very, very well. There's the Y again, there's the tailings on the side. And during the process this week, I was able to shovel all that stuff up. It was very, very clean. And in next week's episode, you'll see the beginning of the finished product and the finished product. So I hope you come back and look. So now we got our NDS 90 pop-up, and I have braced the pipe underneath and also on the sides. And I'm just going to give a little splash of finish here, because that's going to be a hint on what it's going to look like. This is an open French drain concept, and you're going to see throughout the rest of the year what else we're going to do behind the French drain. Tap it down and moving on. Next day. Nice thing about this is the weather really cooperated. It never got over 64 degrees, and nighttime temperatures were down in the low 40s. And so it wasn't a real sweat monster like it had been. It was nice. However, the black fly were around, and we had to take some precautions. On this particular day, that short sleeve just did not work. I had to give up and go in and get a long sleeve shirt later on in the day. But you can see, okay, I'm not taking the tailings away now because I have enough where they're at. But it's the same kind of soil that's on the hillside. So some of the little holes and indentations in the hillside, I'm just taking and throwing it up the hill. Saves on time and don't have to fill a wheelbarrow and run a wheelbarrow back and forth. This part of it right in here was not too bad. In the background where you see the end of that pipe, that was kind of the height of land area. That's where the crown of the yard was. And the reason it was there is because it was solid freaking rock. And all the way down to this last juncture, this last connection, where that connection is coming from the bedroom downspout, became a horrific nightmare for us. It really was. I could clean down to that pipe, but I could not get it down deep enough to put the Y on it. And to the right of that pipe, that's it. I mean, it was just solid ledge stone. And no matter what bit I put on the Bosch, no matter what I did, I could dig about an inch down, and I was basically done. And as the frustration kind of mounted throughout the day, I realized I'm not going to get through this. And I gave up for that day. We went and did some errands and had some lunch, and I thought it out. And I came back the next day, and I said, okay, well, maybe if I used a point bit, I can break it up a little bit, then maybe get a pick down in there, and trying to think it out. But it just became very, very obvious, very, very obvious that this needed a rock breaker. And you can see, I'm shaking my head going, this ain't going nowhere. This is not going well. So you're gonna see Coach kind of walking back and forth, walking back and forth, walking back and forth, trying to figure it out. And I tell you what I wish I had some ANFO and an explosive expert.
The world needs ditch diggers too.
Thanks, Beth. Yep, absolutely. Ditch diggers too. DIY ditch digger. Because this job, start to finish, in total, would probably be somewhere around $10,000, maybe $12,000, especially up in here where there's not a lot of contractors, especially landscape contractors. So the cost would be formidable. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this one out. We are going to do some work further down where the soil changes again. And I'm going to have to bring in somebody from a local excavation company. I found a guy who has a Mini X, and he has a rock breaker. And I'm going to have to pay a couple of dollars, and he can go through and break this ledge stone up enough, because I'm not going to have a connection point here any further until I get that stuff broken out of there. So does that mean I'm going to sit around on my laurels and wait for that guy to be available? No, I'm certainly not. We're going to continue digging. We're going to end up finishing out the trench all the way past our big trailer and over the hill. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to start doing the finished work at the other end, which is a little hint of what you're going to see next week. And I do it in a very different fashion than you might think. It's going to be an open French drain, which means the gravel is going to be exposed the whole time. And there's a reason for that, because there's probably going to be some landscaping behind it. And this will be kind of the lowest point. We got to re-gravel the back there, and we have to do some landscaping up where we put that green giant arborvitae transplants, which are hanging in there. They're not jumping just yet. I think they're getting established and getting ready to burst out. There's some tip growth, but not very much. So I think they're probably about 25% on the rebound. That's kind of low, and I know it is, but so be it. So for the remainder of this day that you're seeing right now and the next day, we ended up taking and cranking out another 40 feet or so. And I have about another 12 left to the very end. So we got gravel today, Friday the 31st of May. I can't believe we're already into June starting tomorrow. There's the level, and still very happy with a 1/4 inch bubble. That water's that's going to be captured there is going to have no problems flowing. It really won't. And whether it be thaw next spring or a heavy duty downpour from some types of storms that come in up here over the summer and early fall, I think we're going to be perfectly fine. It's just a matter of finishing off that 20 feet that you can see out in front of me there. That 20 feet that just wanted to just be stubborn. And no matter what I did, the equipment that I have at my disposal right now just is not, it's not going to work. There it is. There it is. I got most of the gravel. You can see my little mini jack cut on one side, but you go to the other side of that trench, it's ledge stone. 1 inch down, ledge stone. So, hey, we'll get it finished out. It's not the end of the world. There's the rest of the trench. It's basically done out at the end of the wood pile out there. I have probably about 12 feet left. Pitch is going to work fine. And there's a glimpse of the finished product that you're going to see next week. I so much appreciate your time. I will catch you guys next week. As always, to your landscape success, tuning in, drop a comment, email me a question, do whatever you want to do. Thanks again. Catch you next week. Bye for now.